Welcome back, casual gardeners. This video is going to be mostly about starting some cold weather crops in my greenhouse at the end of January. Today is January 28th, and as you can see, I've mostly filled these 10 grow bags with potting mix. The soil at Home Depot is frozen, so I had to go to the big box store for my potting mix, and of course this is potting mix that has been sitting out in the cold all winter long. So yeah, I'm waiting for it to thaw. I thought leaving it out in the greenhouse yesterday and overnight would be enough, but today it's still too cold to plant into. But the reason I'm so het up about getting stuff planted here in my greenhouse is because I looked at the temperature profile here in the greenhouse, like my average highs and my average lows. So my average temperatures for the last month match what I would expect to see outside the greenhouse for the month of March. So I am a month, maybe a month and a half ahead, which means I can get started. So if you are a gardener who this is a time when you just completely run out of patience and you're like, I gotta start planting stuff. Maybe you do need a greenhouse. I won't tell you what to do, but gosh, I'm so glad I've got one. Hello, it's March Me. One thing that's really important to keep in mind is that the average temperature only tells you so much. Now that it's March, I'm still seeing the temperatures drop as low as they were dropping in January and February at night sometimes. During the day, because I'm growing in a greenhouse, the temperature gets almost summery. So it turns out that growing in an unheated greenhouse is both an emotional and a thermal roller coaster. So today, we're just going to let the soil continue to thaw. Hopefully I'll be able to come out here tomorrow and actually sow some things with you. Perhaps you've noticed that fan sound in the background. We should talk about that. I put up Christmas lights in my greenhouse. It was very pretty. I quite liked it. I've got the extension cord just laying across, buried under the snow, so I'm too lazy to move it right now. And I thought to myself, why not connect a fan? And so I've got an oscillating fan from inside the house running in my greenhouse right now. And I'm super excited about that because I should see an improvement in the overall quality of my greenhouse environment from having a fan in here. Air movement is important in every aspect of plant growing, but it is especially important when you're growing in a greenhouse. Good air movement will help reduce condensation on your greenhouse skin at night when the temperatures drop. Good air movement helps you hold on to more of the heat that you collect during the day instead of venting it out through automated vents. Air movement will help reduce fungal infections in your greenhouse plants. Air movement will reduce hot and cold spots in your greenhouse. And I've actually noticed that there are quite a few opportunities for hot and cold spots. For instance, it was a surprise to me when I found out that you get significantly lower and slower germination just a foot closer to the wall of the greenhouse. Wow, this is my first spring in a greenhouse, so I'm learning. That means that the ground in my greenhouse is going to get a little bit warmer. Things are going to work a little bit better. Well, that's it for January 28th. Hopefully, tomorrow or the next day we can continue making this video and I can show you what seeds I'm sowing in these grow bags. Stay tuned! You don't have to wait, but I do. In an unheated greenhouse, it's important to stay away from tender plants growing earlier in the year. Even though I am seeing daytime temperatures as high as the 90s degrees Fahrenheit, it's still dropping below freezing and sometimes well below freezing at night. In an unheated greenhouse, you're going to want to limit your early plantings, so January through probably even April, to hardy and semi-hardy crops, depending on your particular climate. And just keep watching your temperature. As soon as you are reliably staying above 45 degrees Fahrenheit in your greenhouse, that's when you can move out all of your frost tender plants that you've probably already started inside, and you can kick them out to your greenhouse free up some seed starting space and grow them a lot bigger in this otherwise really awesome climate that we've created. So here's a list of hardy and semi-hardy plants. You're going to want to pause this video if you really want to take a look at it, because I'm moving on. So pause it if you want to. List. Let's move on. Okay, so let's just kind of go through. So the 3 beds down here, the 3 bags that don't have anything in them, they are the control bags that I've already planted the same 3 varieties of lettuce in the same number of divots. Then up for that bag, I've decided to plant spinach and tatsoi. And as we move on over, carrots are just going to rock that grow bag. Golden beets in this grow bag. Detroit red, I think, beets in that grow bag. And then we get over to these 3 grow bags where I am rocking the experimental lettuce that you watched me plant, and I've got the copper coils that are going to stay in the bags for the duration of the experiment. Alright, it is February 14th. The experimental and control lettuces closest to the wall of the greenhouse still haven't come up. I've got amazing germination in the other experimental and control lettuces. Everything, here's the tatsoi again, still no carrots, still no beets, but if you look very closely, right there, that is spinach starting to come up. So tatsoi and spinach are cool, and yeah, it makes sense because spinach has a slightly higher cold tolerance than lettuce, so it's going to germinate a little better closer to the wall of my greenhouse. That's my whole update. A lot of my plants have just gotten to a point where I would usually start thinning them, especially the lettuce. I really want to thin it. But the reason I'm not doing that yet is that we've had a series of cold fronts just crushing down through this area, and like tonight the temperature is forecast to drop below 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and it is very likely going to drop a reasonable amount below freezing tonight because it's not warming up very much. Right now it's around 70 degrees Fahrenheit in the greenhouse, which is way better than slightly below freezing outside, but I mean, still, I'm not collecting as much energy from the sun as I normally would on a day that wasn't snowy and overcast. So there's a chance that I could lose some of my cute little plants. And so one thing that I'm hoping is going to be accomplished by not thinning them is that maybe some will survive, and I haven't pre-thinned out the ones that, might have survived. So hopefully next week or the week after, I'll be able to thin things out and start really getting into the nitty-gritty of good, rapid growth, and hopefully some less frightening weather fronts moving through. So that's where we are right now. I am not going to be able to post a video probably next week, and the reason for that is that I'm heading down to Moab to help my mom build a fence around her garden. So I am gardening, but it's not my garden, and I'm not going to be able to make a video about it. So hopefully, things will definitely resume after that. So it's going to be a couple weeks after this video before you see another video from me, but I haven't given up. Things are just getting started, and I'm really excited to share a full gardening season with you this year. So this video has just been about what I've been growing in my garden starting in January. I haven't really gone over any tips for how to deal with really low temperatures in an unheated greenhouse. Let me know in the comments if that's something you'd like to see, because that is definitely something we could do. Thank you for joining me here in my garden today, and I hope you have a wonderful time in your own.